She walked into that courtroom with her head held high. Master's degree. Former fourth-grade teacher. Daughter of a police chief. In her mind, she had already calculated how this would end. A slap on the wrist, some paperwork, maybe a fine.
I will take steps necessary to move on from this incident, and you will not see me back here again.
She'd spent her whole life watching consequences bend around her last name. Why would today be any different? Then the judge spoke. You will serve the first 7 days of this term of probation in our county jail. You are ordered remanded. And just like that, the woman who thought the rules didn't apply to her found out, in front of a packed courtroom, that they always did. Welcome to Shades of Crime. I'm covering the case of Hannah Freeman. A case that isn't about murder. Isn't about a body or a weapon or a manhunt. It's about something that doesn't get talked about enough. What happens when privilege meets a judge who simply doesn't care who your father is? Let's go back to the beginning. Hannah Freeman was 27 years old, living in North Ridgeville, Ohio. On paper, she was the kind of person you'd trust with your children, and many parents did. She taught 4th grade, held a master's degree, and moved through the world with the quiet confidence of someone who had never truly been told no. Part of that confidence had a very specific source. Her father, Michael Freeman, was the chief of police for North Ridgeville, and Hannah knew exactly what that meant. In 2022, during a noise complaint, when officers confronted her, she didn't apologize. She didn't lower her voice. She looked at the officer and said, "My dad is Michael Freeman." She repeated it to her neighbors. Almost like a warning. Almost like a shield. That incident was settled quietly. No real consequences. And in Hannah's world, that became confirmation. The rules applied to other people. Fast forward to early 2024. Hannah meets David McKenzie, a middle school teacher in Westlake, Ohio. 2 educators. Clean backgrounds. What looked like a normal relationship. But by April of 2024, David wanted out. He ended it. He moved on, or at least he tried to. Hannah Freeman had a very different understanding of what over meant. What followed wasn't a dramatic single incident. It wasn't a blow-up or a confrontation you could point to and say, there, that's where it went wrong. It was quieter than that. And in many ways, that made it worse. She started showing up. At his workplace. Sitting in the parking lot of Lee Burnson Middle School in Westlake, watching. According to GPS license plate tracking data, Hannah Freeman's vehicle appeared on that school's property 33 times across 19 different days. All within a single month. Let that land for a second. 33 times. Multiple trips on some days. Not coincidence. Not a shortcut home. Surveillance. Systematic, calculated surveillance dressed up as something she'd later call concern. She was also following him home. Every night. David waited a full month before calling 911. A whole month of being watched, followed, and tracked before he felt he could ask for help. And when he finally made that call, the exhaustion in his voice told the whole story. My ex-girlfriend continues to stalk me and park her car next to wherever I am and follow me home every night. He didn't sound angry. He sounded tired. The kind of tired that comes from looking over your shoulder for 30 days straight. Then came November 6th, 2024. The night everything escalated from obsession to crime. David had told Hannah not to come over that night. He sent the text. The message was clear. She came anyway. When she arrived at his apartment and found another woman there, something shifted. The quiet surveillance, the parking lot visits, the nightly follow-homes. All of it had been Hannah's way of holding on without fully crossing a line. But that night, the line disappeared. She walked to his unlocked car, and she took everything she could find that he needed. 2 backpacks, a Chromebook, an HP laptop, his wallet, his car keys, apartment keys, work keys, school keys. Everything that would force him to pick up the phone and call her. Everything that would make her impossible to ignore. Her attorney would later stand in front of a judge and call it an emotional reaction. A moment of passion. He'd say she only took the bag for about 3 minutes. That she tried to return it. That she acted out of hurt, not malice. But here's what that argument quietly skips over. You don't grab 2 backpacks, 2 laptops, a wallet, and a full set of keys in 3 minutes by accident. That's not heartbreak. That's inventory. David called 911 the next morning.
She actually, yesterday, followed me to my apartment, stole stuff out of my car.
Yeah.
Medications that I need, my car keys, which I was finally able to get back from her, a laptop, in my wallet, and she has run up a bunch of charges on one of my credit cards now.
Oh, she did?
Yeah, and then because I did date her back in April, we probably ended it. She kind of knew passwords to like my accounts and stuff. She's been messing with my accounts.
Where did she rack up the charges at?
It was all from Amazon.
And the following day, when Hannah showed up at his school again, because of course she did, officers responded and found her exactly where David said she'd be, sitting in her car, watching, waiting. The body camera footage from that arrest is something else entirely.
Yeah.
Raising Cane's? Which one?
North Olmsted.
North Olmsted? Okay. Well, we got a complaint from him that you were in his vehicle tonight and you're harassing him and stalking him.
I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
Okay. Did you take some items from him last night? Leave your phone in the car?
I am. I'm putting it down.
Step over
I'm putting it down.
If you ever turn around, put your hands behind your back. You don't got anything on you that's going to stick, poke, anything like that?
No.
Put your hands together like you're praying.
Where are your keys for the car?
I don't know.
Here's what makes this harder to watch than most people realize. David is a man, and there is still a version of this story, alive and well in too many conversations, where a man being stalked by a woman sounds like a punchline, where the assumption is that he could have handled it, that it wasn't that serious. David waited 30 days before calling for help, not because nothing was happening, but because he wasn't sure anyone would take it seriously if he did. That delay says everything about how society treats male victims of female stalkers. And it's one of the most important things this case quietly puts on the table. Hannah was charged with menacing by stalking, obstructing official business, theft, and possessing criminal tools. After months of legal back and forth, she pleaded guilty in late June to reduced misdemeanor charges: disorderly conduct, obstructing official business, and possessing criminal tools. The serious stalking charge gone. Reduced. Amended. And walking into that sentencing hearing, Hannah Freeman and her attorney had every reason to believe the worst was behind her. They had not yet met the version of Judge David Mattia, who had spent time reading that pre-sentence investigation report, cover to cover. And he had questions. The hearing opened quietly. Procedurally. The kind of calm that gives no warning of what's coming. But from the first few minutes, Judge Mattia made one thing clear. He had read every page of that pre-sentence investigation, and he wasn't going to pretend otherwise.
Okay. Court has considered this matter. This is frankly a bizarro breakup between two professionals. The pre-sentence investigation does not paint a pretty picture of your behavior, Ms. Freeman. You should have known that was over. It's my understanding that the victim had someone else in his life. I am going to place you on 18 months of community control. You'll be ordered to have no contact with Mr. McKenzie, the victim. In this case, as a condition of community control, you are to wear a GPS device for the first 90 days. You'll be on house arrest with work release. You'll be ordered to undergo mental health counseling, particularly to establish healthy boundaries, and you will serve the first 7 days of this term of probation in our county jail. You are ordered remanded.
We had an agreed sentence.
You didn't agree with me, Mr. Kinlan, and I am charged with sentencing.
At this point, Your Honor, I'm going to make a motion to withdraw her plea, and we'd rather go to trial.
Because you don't like the sentence?
No, because we don't like the way the court has interpreted the facts.
Mr.
The facts
Kinlan,
are not correct.
did you talk to me about sentence before you pled your client?
You were not available, Your Honor.
I'm available all the time, Mr. Kinlan. You chose to plead your sentence, your client.
We only met with you one time, Your Honor. At this point, we'd ask to withdraw her plea.
I'm offended that you would make the insinuation here that I don't work enough.
I'm not making that insinuation.
How long, when was this case indicted?
December.
Yeah, half a year ago.
Your Honor,
Did you make any effort to talk to me in the last 6 months about how I would sentence your client?
Yes,
No.
we did.
You did? When?
When I asked you to take her off GPS back in April.
Okay, and I did.
Yes.
But that wasn't about sentencing, was it? I just asked you, did you make any effort to talk to me about what sentence I would impose after you negotiated a plea deal with the state of Ohio?
No, we did have an agreed sentence with the state. Would ask the court to go along with that agreed sentence as it's a condition of plea.
Didn't ask me. Sorry.
The plea is not knowingly voluntary.
Your bad practice is not my problem.
I don't think it's my bad practice, Your Honor.
We're done.
I'm listening. Hold on.
When the defense attorney suggested portions of the report were inaccurate, the judge didn't flinch. He went straight to the data. The flock camera, the license plate reader, 33 visits, 19 different days, 30 days. He looked at the attorney and asked, almost plainly, asterisk, he invited her to school 30 times? Asterisk. The attorney said yes. That Hannah had been there helping David with his classwork. That a principal had been subpoenaed and would have testified to that fact. That this wasn't stalking, it was support. The judge moved on. Even the prosecution acknowledged that on some occasions during those months, David had re-engaged with Hannah, had invited her, had not always maintained complete distance. And in a different courtroom, with a different judge, that admission might have softened the room. It might have shifted the atmosphere just enough for Hannah's team to breathe a little easier. It did not soften this room. When it was Hannah's turn to speak, the courtroom went quiet. This was her moment, her one opportunity to stand before a judge and show something real, accountability, remorse, and understanding of what she had put another person through for months. What she offered instead was 11 seconds. Asterisk, I regret the incident. I definitely acted out of emotion, and I regret that decision that I made that night, and I will take steps necessary to... Asterisk. She didn't finish the sentence. The words just stopped. Not out of grief. Not because emotion overtook her. The statement was constructed, generic, and abandoned mid-delivery. She called months of calculated behavior, that night. She called a pattern an incident. And then she sat down. Judge Mattia had heard enough. Asterisk, this is frankly a bizarre breakup between two professionals. The pre-sentence investigation does not paint a pretty picture of your behavior, Ms. Freeman. You should have known that it was over. Asterisk. Then came the sentence. 18 months of community control. No contact with David Mackenzie. A GPS monitor for the first 90 days. House arrest with work release. Mandatory mental health counseling. And then, the part nobody in Hannah's corner had prepared for. 7 days in the county jail, starting immediately. Asterisk, you are ordered remanded. Asterisk, the room shifted. Hannah Freeman, who had walked in composed, who had sat through that hearing with the quiet confidence of someone expecting to walk out the same door she came in, broke. The sound that followed was not dignified grief. It was shock. Raw, unfiltered shock from a woman who had spent her entire life watching consequences reroute around her family name, and was now discovering, in real time, that this judge had never once looked up that name. Her attorney moved fast. He tried to withdraw the guilty plea on the spot, claiming the jail sentence wasn't part of the agreement. The judge asked him directly whether, in the 6 months since the case was indicted, he had ever once sat down with him to discuss sentencing. The attorney admitted he had not. The judge's response was short, final, and has since been heard by millions of people. Asterisk, your bad practice is not my problem. Asterisk. Hannah was escorted out. The courtroom exhaled. And somewhere in North Ridgeville, a man named David Mackenzie finally had something he had been denied for the better part of a year. A day that ended with someone else being held accountable for what they did to him. Hannah Freeman lost her teaching career. She lost her freedom for 7 days. She carries 18 months of GPS monitoring, house arrest, and court-mandated counseling. Her attorney walked out of that courtroom with his reputation in pieces. And the police chief's daughter learned what nobody had ever bothered to teach her before: that a last name is not a verdict. Justice doesn't always arrive with a death sentence and a grieving family in the gallery. Sometimes it arrives in a quiet courtroom in Ohio, in the form of a judge who did his homework and 7 words that nobody saw coming. This has been Shades of Crime. If this case made you feel something, subscribe. Because there are more stories like this one, and they deserve to be told.